I am mother, provider, challenger and supporter. I will cleanse, empower, refresh and challenge. I blanket and envelope you, pushing and pulling you within my embrace. Accept, respect and embrace me. Love me and all I bring, as equally as I love, respect and embrace you.
I calm thee. Go within me to find your strength.
Dive into your soul, explore the depths of who we are and our true existence, our real existence.
Water, it's the gift of life. Without water, we don't have life on this planet. So water is the true source of all of life. It's the true source of everything existing here on this planet.
As a physical human being, we're not meant to stay in the ocean. We are visitors who join the oceans to experience for a while. We need to take that experience back to us, to our land-based physical existence. She's asking us to go with the ebb and the flow of everything, of life, our emotions, our experiences, our existence and our transformations. Our droplets travel far. They rise with the heat and move with the air. So we're using all the different features, the aspects of our environment. They form together and return to the land. They travel and experience. We ask that you allow them to do this freely.
Her heart is the waters, and this is what she was explaining, the ocean was explaining, that planet Earth, her heart is actually in the waters, it's in the oceans, it's all in her oceans, and that her mind is in the skies. So the sky is a distraction. That's what we're always seeing. That's what we're always looking at. That's what we're always getting played by. We're getting played by whether the sunshine's coming through or not, or whether we've got clouds that are coming through it. And so we're always getting played by this frivolous little, it's not stable, it's not consistent. Whereas the heart is in the oceans, it's that depth, it's that deep within you that you can't see, but you feel.
She was showing how the oceans offer us accessibility and assistance to release what we need to release. They absorb. She says, we feel you and draw your stresses away so that we can just feel. We can take ourselves away from the sky, away from that mindset, and just become back to our heart centers and feel when we're with the ocean, with our droplets. This is where our physical and your physical meet, she shared. Water energy reconnects us all and becomes one. You've got to remember, as human beings, I think we're about 70% water, which the planet, coincidentally, is about 70% water. You're travelling through the mind, these droplets, as they travel up through the air, the sky, it's like paralleling with the mind. So that's like us. We're coming from the emotions, the depth of the oceans. We're coming out of our emotions. We do travel through our existence. We travel through the mind, the sky. But then we come back down to, as you were saying, the oceans is our heart. So we're going back to our emotions, the feeling. So we will travel through the whole cycle ourselves, but we will always come back to that heart, that feeling, the emotional side of ourselves.
The secrets are hidden deep within the waters. So all of these blocked emotions that we have, all of this stuff that's sitting down there really deep, that's getting moved, that's getting brought forth. Those fears that lie dormant, they're waiting for you to awaken.
She was highlighting the cycle of everything. She kept showing and explaining to me how she was starting with the droplets in the ocean, and she was often referring to herself as we, because you've got the collective of different rivers, you've got the seas, you've got the oceans, and also the individual droplets in each of those. So same as human beings, we've got the collective, but we're also individuals within that. She then shared that we become you, a part of you, through evaporation. Again, it's going back to this cycle that she kept going back to. Through evaporation, we rise to fall again as rain for your thirst. You consume us and we become one. You release us back to the ocean after we have provided for you, and so the cycle continues. We are being reminded to care for ourselves and acknowledge all that we are, right down to our tiniest detail, to nurture and look after ourselves from deep inside. When we care for the foundations of our physical, it will resonate out through all levels of our physical. And then she showed it, which I absolutely loved. There are small creatures, organisms, who are vital to our oceans. They're known collectively as plankton, individually as plankta, and they are the healers, or they're akin to the healers in our physical and in our soul while we are here. That's humans, not the oceans. Their purpose in the oceans parallel the antibodies in our own physical bodies. They pick away at the excess, the waste, and the unnecessary. They're looking after the balance of the oceans, and we need to look after the balance of our body, right down to those vital microscopic levels. Plankton organisms are as vital to the oceans as these antibodies are to our physical bodies. Without either ourselves or the oceans will not survive. If there is an imbalance deep inside of us, waves are created on the surface and beyond. She again showed that plankton are the vital organisms providing food for other creatures, clearing the waste, and so much more. Without plankton in the oceans, there will be no fish, no fuel, no environment, no us. And we need to consider this as we look at ourselves, and we really need to let that really resonate with us. Every little aspect of us, even if we can't see it, it's so tiny, actually matter.
This is so important for climate change and what's happening right now, because those fears that lie dormant and they're waiting for us to awaken, it's all coinciding with the permafrost melting and all the diseases that are coming out. So those fears that are lying dormant, everything, all that permafrost, everything that's lying there in that permafrost is all coming to light. It's all coming out. And remember what this coronavirus is doing right now is bringing all the fears to the surface. Whether that's a fear about death, money, isolation, being alone, not having your needs, not having each other, whatever those fears are, stress, worry, insecurity, it's all bringing it to the light. It's all bringing it up to the surface. So awakening them cleanses and purifies the mind, body, and the soul. That purification. And that purification is not just for our physical body, the physical self. It's also for the energetic self, the soul self. The soul self that has encountered so many fears and things over the lifetimes that it's been here on this planet Earth, this Mother Earth. It's all getting cleansed and purified at the moment. The cleansing and the purifying is coming through the water. The water is cleansing and purifying it all. The rising sea levels, it's all forcing everything to shift and change. It's bringing it all forth. can't run away from rising sea levels. You know, this is something that humanity is facing right now. There are already countries and places and people, thousands of people that have lost their homes, that are having to move because the rising sea levels have already overtaken the land.
The rising sea levels, it just corresponds with how there's so many rising emotions as a collective at the moment, and it's just parallel. She said, whether living next to us or inland, we are a vital part of you and your existence. You need us, please look after us. Wherever you meet us, we cleanse and we provide for you. Please also cleanse and provide for us. So I did ask her, how can we actually help provide for her? And she shared, by being aware of what you put in and what you take out. You are taking those who help us provide for you. Those who keep us healthy, we are taking away. We are well enough to provide for you, but by doing what we're doing as human beings, we're messing with that balance. The water drops, that's where they're coming up. They're providing the water for our thirst and our food in the way that providing the rain for the crops. So that's the food source. That's how she showed it to me. Rather than actually taking out of the oceans themselves, they're providing food sources by nurturing the land. Like the rain comes down into the land, grows the crops, and that's how they're providing for us, rather than taking away from what's in her.
When I did my channeling, it did at one point, I just didn't put it in. I didn't feel I had the full answer for this, was that she said, I am your food. In the aspect of fish as being as food, she is providing that only for the small communities that actually live off, that is their main food source. They basically are small fishermen that go out on their canoes. They get enough fish that is just for them to eat with their families and their communities, and it's not there for mass production for the rest of the world. She's providing that small amount of fish for those small communities that actually live there and live with her in that aspect.
And that will be an agreement between those fish and those people. At the moment, there is no agreement between these huge mega trawlers and everything they're taking. She did actually say, are we aware of what we're removing from the oceans? How the food on our plate and the products we buy are sourced. It's not just the fish itself. There's shells, there's ornaments, there's beauty products are made from stuff taken from the oceans, food ingredients. There's so much we're taking, and all we're chucking back in is plastic, is rubbish. There are places where, more indigenous places, where it's a much more balanced ecosystem. Not the majority of fishing aspects at the moment. It's taking away way too much. She's just showing it that we're scraping away. It's like if it was the land, we're just scraping and scraping and scraping all the topsoil till it's bare, it's barren. Nothing then that can then create from that. And that's how she's showing it with fishing. We're just taking and taking and taking, and then what we're putting back in is rubbish. The amount of rubbish that's going into the oceans. So it's causing that imbalance in her, and then she is unhealthy. She can't then provide for us, and so of course we become unhealthy. She's not going to be able to provide healthy water for our crops, for our thirst, for everything we do, if all we're doing is putting rubbish into her. We're knocking that balance, the plankton, the ecosystem, the algae. That's bigger photosynthesis than the forests, but we don't see that because it's out of the ocean. Again, it's unexplored, unknown territory. So because we don't see it, we don't understand it, we're not seeing the knock-on effects of what we're doing by taking so much from the oceans. The plants and the animals who are existing within the oceans provide and balance the oceans. So of course, when we're removing that balance we're creating, it's actually mirroring the imbalance that we've got here on the land. So clearing the oceans of our filtering systems, which is in effect what everything is that lives in there, the plants, the plankton and other marine life, and then filling her up with unfilterable waste is just creating a massive rubbish dump. We need to obviously check that with ourselves as well. What we're putting into ourselves, we can create a physical body rubbish dump. When we add what is not meant for us from inland or from the coast, we kill us and all those living with us, under and above the waves. And that, again, she's saying, includes ourselves. The oceans provide the water we need for thirst, for hygiene, for crops, and so much more. Again, it's going back to that food source. And by killing and contaminating the source of all of this, we're affecting all that flows from that source straight to our door. Doesn't matter how far inland we are. Again, as she shared, that cycle that goes right inland, and then that will come back to the oceans. So you could be way inland, it will eventually get back to the oceans, and we're still contaminating it. Doesn't matter how far away we are. When we hold something in our hand, whatever we're doing during the day, imagine that as part of the ocean. How we have in our hand, how will it impact the environment, the water, the fish, the plants and everything that exists there? So is it going to decompose? Is it going to just sit there for centuries? The effort we make will have an impact on what we receive. We multiply that by millions of others making the same effort. Just imagine the impact. So if we do nothing, we're going to receive nothing. But if we make a huge effort, imagine the cleansing we can be doing.
Throughout the day, a step to understand it is hold whatever you have in your hand and ask yourself, if this was to end in the ocean, what effect is it going to make? And that's everything, not just decomposing, that's poison, that's all the house products that we use, everything that's going down the drains, everything that's going in the toilets, everything that's getting thrown in the rivers, all ends up eventually in the oceans. And I think one stepping stone that we can do is ask ourselves, well, we can change the products that we buy to eco-friendly products, or if there's plenty of homemade ones that you can make at home with certain products that are biodegradable and not damaging to the life self within the water systems. As well as what came very strong is educate your children to not be naive and ignorant of where things end up. When you throw something down the toilet, where does it go? How does it get there? When you throw something in the river, where does it go? How does it get there? So it's important about putting it already in the younger generation, this awareness and understanding, like Indigenous cultures would already be doing with their children, of be responsible with your choices and your actions, not only from what you purchase, but also what you do with them.
It's instilling the oceans are us, so we have to watch what we put into our own bodies. Again, the poisons, the food, the chemicals, everything like that. There are alternatives which align, we're provided for, but we're always searching for man-made alternatives which don't align with our physical bodies.
I got very strong from Bluebell to kind of shift this. Bluebell wanted to express, and she wanted to say, play with me, the ocean. In other words, play with the ocean. She said, she was speaking for the ocean. She said, play with me. The ocean wants to be played. See it from joy, not from dread. So even everything that's coming, see everything that's coming, the permafrost melting, diseases arriving, rising ocean levels, and people losing their homes. To see this as a movement of change, to see this as playfulness, to see this as joy, move with it, move with your oceans, move with your oceans of emotions. That emotion is your power source. That is the center of your heart, is in your emotions, the language of the heart.
Swim among your emotions and feel them touch your physical. So she was saying that we say touch because they are not to be absorbed. She was showing that as we go through them, we navigate through our emotions, but we're not actually to become that emotion. So she said, see them and feel them floating by. Your emotions are around you and you are among your emotions. But they do not become you or you them.
Stop drowning in your emotions and learn to swim. The majority of us, what we do is when we have those deep emotional moments is we try to run away from them, we try to avoid them. We act like we're drowning and we're trying to get out of the water as fast as we can. And that's what she's saying. She's saying stop avoiding it, dive in there, learn to swim.
She said, don't allow them to drown you, just observe, feel, and acknowledge your oceans of emotions. Trying to logically work out those emotions that we're feeling underneath, that's just us swimming on the surface. We're not getting in there. And like she was saying, get down and get among them, get among those emotions and feel them, but don't become them.
You become them when you label yourself as them. That's
Yes.
becoming them. Again, the mind comes in and starts to create an attachment to that emotion. Oh, I am depressed. I am sad. I am a negative person. I am this. Where it's not. It's there's depression in you. There is sadness in you. There is negativity in you. It's there to flow. It's there to release it. Don't hold on to it with the mind.
Say that I feel depressed, I feel down, I feel, but not actually saying I am, because you're introducing yourself to the rest of the universe saying, I am this, I am that. But it's not, we're being shown what's being triggered. We allow ourselves to have fear of the ocean, so we got an excuse to run out onto dry land and just sit and look rather than get in amongst it and experience it. Sharks, great idea. We won't have to go in the ocean if there's something fearful in there. It's our excuse not to go in and explore.
But climate change is doing that. The ocean is bringing that to our face. We can't avoid that anymore. The diseases are being released as she's melting, as the permafrost is melting, as the icebergs are melting. The sea levels are rising. They're coming to our doorstep. We can't run away from those emotions anymore, those fears anymore. All of those things that have blocked and are within us, they're all coming to the surface. We can't run away anymore. We are all going to learn to swim. We are all going to find balance again with our emotions, the heart self, the driver of our souls.
And she'll support us while we do it.
Your emotions are what drive your growth. So without feeling uncomfortable, we don't change. So this is everything that the ocean is trying to teach us, that our soul comes here for the emotional experience, and the emotional experience is what drives us for growth. So without the ocean, without these depths of emotions, without this source of water around us and within us, we don't get the human experience. We don't get any experience on this planet Earth. Even Mother Earth doesn't get the experience of what she is experiencing without her waters. We become lost within the waters. So in those depths of those deep waters, we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves in that rapid emotion, that deep emotion. And now is the time for growth and awakening. And that's why everything that's been down in the deeps of her oceans is coming to the surface, is coming to light, it's coming to us. And she said very specifically, I will awaken you. She's got the power. The power is in the ocean. Of all the things that are on Mother Earth, the power of growth and change is in the ocean, is in the water. So it is important that we honor those emotions, important that we go into that, it's important that we uncover that, so we bring it forth. So we bring it to the surface and we understand it and we release it and we see it for what it is. Allow the water to flow, allow the oceans to flow. Within there are your secrets, and bring them to light, because that's where your strength lies. Your strength lies within your oceans of emotions. When you're able to control that, when you're able to understand that, when you're able to allow that to flow, you have power. You have complete empowerment. And you have power over the mind self. Your beliefs are connected to your emotions. So when you allow them to surface, they reveal you your belief. When you allow your emotions to come out, they reveal you what your actual beliefs are. And remember what she said. She said that, remember, we will show you your secrets. Work with her secrets, they will unveil yours. So when you work with the secrets of your emotions and you bring them forth, they are showing you the belief patterns that are running your life. That's where your power is. That's the strength. And we were saying that the strength is there within your emotions. Her last words the ocean wanted to share with everybody was, do not fear me. And that applies for the physical ocean, the water itself, and it also applies to your own emotions. Don't be afraid of them. Bring them forward.
As Mother Nature and Mother Earth have previously shared with us, it's the imbalance that we need to be much more aware of. That's what's doing so much damage to us as individuals, to the human species, to Mother Earth, to Mother Nature, to other animals, to everything. It's that imbalance. And that's why there's so much coming up now with the oceans of emotions and everything going on the planet. It's imbalanced, and it's really being highlighted so that we can go back to finding that balance.
Stop avoiding that emotion. Dive into it. Dive right into it and use it. It's there to actually balance you. Remember, because we're so unbalanced. When you learn to swim, the ocean actually is buoyancy and balances you. So as you go within and you dig deep in all of this, and you're going into your heart space and you're going into all of those emotions, you're actually finding the strength, because that's where it lies. It doesn't lie in the mind, like we were saying before about it doesn't lie in distractions. That's not where your power lies. Your power lies in the depth of your ocean, the depth of your heart. That's where your power lies.